No one wants to make the mistake of picking the wrong cruise ship. We should know, as we've been on over 80 cruises, and not all of them have turned out as we expected. So as megaship enthusiasts, we were a little skeptical about spending 12 nights in the Mediterranean with a cruise line that many haven't heard of on a ship that only holds 165 passengers. Well, we're back and we share all the details with you. From life on board to the dining, nightlife, and time spent ashore, we break down who will love and hate small ship cruising up next. The Mediterranean is one of our favorite cruise regions. In fact, we spent 2 weeks in the region on Celebrity Beyond last year to celebrate our anniversary and had a fantastic time. But sailing on a much smaller vessel in the region was new for us. However, we were no strangers to Atlas Ocean Voyages. Last year, we spent 9 nights on board the cruise line's newest vessel, World Voyager, on an Antarctica expedition. So after that sailing, we had no worries about cruising with Atlas Ocean Voyages to another remote destination, but doing a similar cruise in a more popular region like the Mediterranean. But one reason we were drawn to the sailing was the itinerary, as the ship was able to visit many ports that larger cruise ships can't. In fact, many of the places on this 12-day voyage were completely new destinations for us. As a luxe adventure cruise line, the cruise fare covers most onboard amenities like all dining and drinks. It also includes free prepaid gratuities, a cultural immersion experience, and more. All onboard dining, including 24-hour room service, is included. The Lisboa restaurant on Deck 4 is home to daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Atlas Ocean Voyages also offers an alternative restaurant, the Aft Grill, during Mediterranean cruises. Further, alcoholic drinks, including beer, house wine, and a variety of cocktails are complimentary. All premium non-alcoholic beverages, such as espresso-based drinks, tea, soft drinks, and mocktails are also complimentary. There's even a free stocked minibar in all staterooms. And like any cruise ship, guests have access to other onboard facilities throughout the cruise that are mostly free to use as well. Not all public spaces were operable when we sailed with Atlas Ocean Voyages in Antarctica, given the weather conditions. So we were ready to take advantage of everything World Traveler had to offer during the summer cruise. While small ship, the ship still features many cruise staples. There's a main dining room, a coffee shop, a spa, a fitness center, a running track, a pool with a hot tub, bars and lounges, and an auditorium for daily enrichment. World Traveler boasts a pool and whirlpool on Deck 7 midship. Just steps from the pool is the pool bar, which began serving drinks at 11 a.m. each day. Nearby, there's also a self-serve ice cream cart for a little snack while lounging poolside. The jogging track is on Deck 8. Given the ship's small footprint, it does take 12 times around to equal 1 mile. There are also a few stations with workout equipment scattered throughout this top deck. It reminded us of the oddly placed workout gear you find on some Princess Cruises ships. One of the 2 main lounges inside the ship, the Dome Observation Lounge, is on Deck 7 forward. This space features lots of natural light and scenic views. There's a large cocktail list and friendly bar staff ready to take your order. The outdoor viewing area forward of the dome offers fantastic views overlooking the ship's bow. I sat here many mornings watching us sail into the next picturesque port of call. While there are primarily staterooms on Decks 5 and 6, there are also a few outdoor public areas. Forward on Deck 5 is the water's edge. We utilize this space more during our Antarctica sailing than on this cruise. But this viewing platform on the ship's bow is another excellent spot to unwind and watch the ocean views closer to water level. In addition, there are 2 outdoor spaces that many guests forget about aft on these decks. During our cruise, I spent some time admiring the wake views while conversing with some newfound friends. While the deck plans label the Deck 5 aft space the Zephyr Lounge, there's no bar service here. Both spaces also offer various seating arrangements to relax and socialize. Back inside, Deck 4 is the hub of activity on the ship. The port side has a fitness center open until 11 p.m., featuring some free weights and cardio machines. The starboard side has a sauna with nearby loungers open most days until 10 p.m. While the sauna and loungers are free to use, there's also a spa with 2 treatment rooms offering a variety of massage services for an upcharge. On deck 4, there's also the Atlas Lounge and the Americo Vespucci Auditorium. The auditorium is used for lectures and other edutainment throughout the voyage. The Atlas Lounge is the second main indoor bar where many congregate for pre-dinner drinks. This space is also used for a variety of events during the trip. With only 165 guests on board, there were several times when many of the public spaces were empty. Thus, it often felt like we had the entire yacht all to ourselves. This was a drastic departure from the often crowded spaces on even the most well-designed megaships. With a new port of call essentially every day and limited entertainment spaces, there was nowhere near as many scheduled activities as you'd find on a larger cruise ship. On our 1C day, the cruise director Julie hosted a trivia session. On another evening, there was a very unorganized game of Name That Tune in the Dome. There was also unhosted chess club, afternoon tea, dancing under the dome, live music, and port talks. The Dome hosted tea time most days from 4 to 5 p.m. Guests could help themselves to various premium teas while ordering from a small menu of treats. Each evening between about 5:30 and 6:30, depending on the port, the land program manager gave a port destination talk, previewing the next day's destination. We attended a couple of them, and we didn't think they were very informative. These talks were similar in nature to what you often find on a river cruise. From there, the Dome offered light music, cocktails, and snacks from around 6:30 p.m. or 6:45 p.m. Dinner started every night at 7:30 p.m., and more live music with Piano Paul was back in the Dome at 9:30 p.m. Still, it's a far cry from the diverse music offerings you'd find on more contemporary cruise lines. On a few occasions, the cruise director, Julie, doubled as that night's entertainment, performing some musical numbers. We got a sneak peek at her vocals on night 2 during the captain's reception, but she really wowed the crowd on night 5 with her live session in the Dome at 9:45 p.m. Later on the cruise, she performed a pre-dinner Broadway set, and the following night, she capped it off with her Dancing Under the Dome show. Aside from the captain's welcome reception and farewell cocktail, the Atlas Lounge also hosted the crew talent show on night 10. This was a similar event they held during our Antarctica expedition, and it was fun watching these staff members sing, dance, and perform other talents. These events were the only entertainment on our 12-day Atlas Ocean Voyages trip. However, there were some other activities associated with the theme of this cruise, an Epicurean Expedition. These activities came mostly in the form of live cooking demos, lectures, and tastings. We would have enjoyed more local entertainment options like we've experienced on other small ship cruise lines like Windstar Cruises or Viking. To align to its polar expeditions, Atlas Ocean Voyages positions many of its Mediterranean sailings as Epicurean expeditions. And during our cruise, this sailing featured 4 guest presenters or chefs, along with a culinary-centric list of enrichment activities, including Epicurean presentations, live cooking demonstrations, tastings, and even a market visit with the onboard chef. Among the featured experts was the taste and traditions expert, master foodie, Mara Papatheodoro. This former editor of Bon Appetit magazine hosted lectures in the auditorium. Along with the featured guest cooks, Mara also co-hosted other tastings and culinary sessions in the Atlas Lounge and the Dome. Mara was personable, and she had a wealth of knowledge. She also participated in some shore excursions, adding flavor and context wherever we visited. The other featured presenters were executive chef Marcello Zaccaria from Accademia Barella, gastronomic guest Juliette Davy, and guest lecturer Brian Liss. While we really enjoyed Chef Marcello's cooking demos and menu items, we aren't quite sure that the other 2 presenters fit on this Mediterranean itinerary. Though my personal favorite activity was the Yachtsman Cook-Off competition. I donned my apron with another rider to see if we could take the title of Best Pasta Salad in a live guest cooking show. Sadly, the Spice Boys did not take home the winning bottle of wine. Maybe next time. Aside from the limited entertainment offerings, another drawback of small ship sailing is the limited options for dining. Most meals occur in the main dining room, the Lisboa restaurant on Deck 4. For breakfast, the restaurant serves a buffet with a small menu of made-to-order options like omelets. The food was standard for breakfast, and we had no issues finding something to eat the few mornings we dined here. For lunch, the restaurant offers rotating menu options. There was a salad bar, meats and cheeses, and a custom Caesar salad station each day. The carving station offered different selections most days, like a roasted pig or a slow-cooked strip loin. The remaining entrees and side dishes varied each day, with usually a chicken, beef, pork, or fish entree. While I never had any issues finding something to eat, there were several days Heidi only had some fresh fruit and cheese for lunch. It would have been nice if the restaurant featured a small made-to-order menu with standard selections for lunch each day, like a grilled chicken sandwich or a hamburger. At night, this main dining room features a traditional multi-course sit-down meal. It's open seating from 7:30 to 9 p.m. each night with no set table assignments. While it was closed during our Antarctica expedition, the main dining room does boast alfresco dining with wake views, but it was just too hot for us to take advantage of this area during the sailing. Compared to our cruise last year, Atlas Ocean Voyages has completely revamped dinner menus, and we're happy to report that the changes are for the better. While the menus offer several local specialties, the international cuisine focused on more than just Mediterranean and European fare. For instance, other entrees like the Mongolian beef added some dimension and spice to the menu. The nightly menus feature a rotating plant-based section, always available dishes, including a ribeye and salmon, a rotating dinner menu, and on many occasions featured a local market dish. However, some of the tastiest dishes were the regional specialties, like the seared swordfish from Sicily or the chicken piccata when departing from Civitavecchia. Another standout dish was the homemade Italian gnocchi available every night. Guest chef Marcello Zaccaria's custom-made pastas were perhaps the best part of being on this Epicurean expedition. Among the irresistible al dente selections were the pasta alla norma and the pesto genovese. We only wished he was on board for the entire sailing. Besides the main dining room, there were just two other eateries on board. In the morning and afternoon, the ship's resident coffee shop, Paula's Pantry, offers quick bites. The breakfast items here include danishes, muffins, and the tasty ham and cheese toasties. These were great to quickly snag before heading ashore. Coming back in the afternoon, Paula's Pantry was our go-to for a caffeine fix, and sometimes a tiny sandwich, quiche, or freshly made cookies. While the pastries and snacks were good, we would have liked a better selection of pre-made sandwiches, as many were repetitive and not all that appetizing. Regardless of the time of day, this venue serves espresso-based drinks, premium teas, frappes, and freshly squeezed juices. On most days, the coffee shop was open from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Paula's Pantry also features a self-serve Vero water station where guests could refill their reusable water bottles any time of day. And don't worry if you forget to pack one, on all Atlas Ocean Voyages expeditions, guests receive a free refillable water bottle, and on Epicurean Expeditions, guests also receive a free book bag. Aside from the main dining room, the only other sit-down venue is located poolside. The 7 Aft Grill serves a buffet lunch with many of the same menu items that are also available in the main dining room, along with a menu of made-to-order items. This outdoor eatery is home to a Jasper grill, which gives the freshly seared menu items extra flavor. The lunch menu features freshly prepared hot dogs, hamburgers, and personal pizzas. These lunch selections were more of our style. But given the heat, we didn't always want to eat outside in the middle of the day. At night, the 7 Aft Grill is the resident steakhouse, which is complimentary to all guests, but reservations are required. Heidi couldn't resist the chef's Cobb salad as a starter. I went off script and asked for a half order of the homemade Louisiana crawfish ravioli. The ravioli was delicate with a creamy sauce and just a bit of kick. However, I didn't realize that this entree, which I ordered as a starter, also came with a whole lobster tail. My ribeye steak was flavorful and juicy, cooked to a medium temperature. was more than satisfying after eating my extra large app. This steakhouse has a standard lineup of sides and desserts, making it a welcome change from the main dining room. As we mentioned previously, 24-hour room service is available for all guest staterooms. So of course, we had to test out the two menus. For breakfast, guests could order any item at the main restaurant and have it delivered to their stateroom. Omelets, pancakes, French toast, and other continental items were among the selections. Another nice perk is that the cruise line will let you place breakfast order outside your door as late as 2 a.m. You can also request breakfast delivery at any time in the morning. So it was a nice treat after sleeping in on day 4 to enjoy our breakfast on the balcony in Nice, France, with the French Riviera as our backdrop. The all-day room service menu consists of only a few options, and it was a bit hit or miss. We sampled a grilled chicken Caesar wrap, a custom hamburger, and a flatbread pizza. The pizza was better than our vegan pizza during our Antarctica sailing, but still nothing to write home about. While I enjoyed my burger, Heidi's sandwich was drenched in dressing and contained mostly lettuce. For this Mediterranean cruise, we stayed in stateroom 514, a veranda stateroom located forward of the forward elevators on the ship's port side. Given that the ship's public areas are mostly found on decks 4 and 7, it was never a far walk up or down from our stateroom to anywhere on the ship. Although there are both forward and midship elevators for those with limited mobility. According to the Atlas Ocean Voyages website, this veranda stateroom measures 270 square feet, including the balcony. Immediately upon entering our room, the bathroom was to the left. Across the way was a closet. For a stateroom of this size, the closet lacked adequately designed storage space. There were 3 small clothes bars with hangers, a series of small shelves, and 2 drawers. But our packing cubes didn't fit well on the shelves, and there wasn't a good place to store shoes. However, the luxury bathroom with marble finishes were certainly an upgrade in terms of size and amenities. The vanity offered plenty of counter space, and there was adequate storage for all our products with additional 3 shelves over the toilet. The main focal point of this upgraded bathroom, though, is the walk-in mosaic shower with a rainfall shower head and body jets, which, believe us, were very relaxing after a long day ashore. The bathroom also features premium L'Octane products, so there's no need to pack any toiletries from home. The bed was located after the closet and bathroom, followed by a small seating area and desk before the balcony. The queen-sized bed was on the midship wall facing forward, looking directly at the large flat-screen television. We never had any issues falling asleep after exploring that day's port of call with the luxurious Portuguese cotton linens. Additionally, there was a nightstand on each side of the bed, though only one side featured a USB outlet for charging devices overnight. During our Antarctica voyage, we stayed in a Horizon stateroom. This stateroom is designed essentially like an infinite veranda stateroom. When compared to that stateroom, this veranda stateroom's desk and seating area were noticeably smaller, with that extra square footage from the interior of the cabin now dedicated to the outdoor balcony space. The desk had just enough counter space for Heidi to get ready, while also housing an espresso coffee maker and premium teas. The mini fridge, stocked regularly as part of the cruise fare, is also under the desk. This means there are no drawers or additional storage compartments located here. Across from the desk are 2 oversized chairs and a small table. This area was tight, making us miss the love seat found in our previous cabin. Where this veranda stateroom lacks interior space, it makes up for it with the dedicated outdoor space. The balcony features 2 cushioned chairs and a round table. While the balcony extended the entire width of the stateroom, it was a little shallow. Still, we enjoyed having this space to step outside to take videos and photos of the ports of call. However, we didn't spend as much time on the balcony as we would have expected. This was mostly because the temperatures were just too hot. This 12-day cruise included 11 ports of call. Needless to say, it was a packed itinerary. Given that many of the ports were cities we hadn't visited yet, we opted to do a shore excursion or tour at almost every stop. Many of these smaller destinations are places few major cruise lines visit, so getting private tours would have been more difficult. And Heidi's worst nightmare is just wandering on her own with no game plan. Thus, we booked a majority of our shore excursions directly with Atlas Ocean Voyages. The quality of these tours varied greatly. While we enjoyed many of our tours, some were not as advertised. Also, there were few options to choose from at several ports. Further, the land program staff often did not know much about the ports of call or the offered tours. We received inaccurate information about the tour's inclusions, duration, and activity level multiple times. The tour start times were also often different than the times we booked as well. As a new cruise line, we do think that Atlas Ocean Voyages has some work to do regarding its land program. Still, we did not let this detract from our overall experience. We donned our walking shoes and got ready to trek the cobblestone streets and often uphill paths in the 90-degree-plus weather to explore these scenic destinations. After leaving Civitavecchia cruise port, World Traveler had a short distance to sail. Our first port of call was Portoferraio, the largest city on Elba Island. This Italian Riviera port was home to a waterfront radiating with colorful buildings overlooking the sea. Like all shore excursions, we met at the designated time in the Atlas Lounge, only to subsequently find out that our tour had been canceled. So we had a choice to explore on our own or book the only remaining tour available, Panoramic Elba. While we're not usually fans of large bus tours, we decided to hop on this tour. This approximately 4-hour excursion included 2 stops at small resort towns, Marina del Capo and Porto. Each stop included a brief narrated walk of the town and some free time. Along with several photos, we made sure to grab our first gelato of the cruise while admiring the harbor views. While all the destinations on the itinerary were intriguing, we were very excited about a few ports, including Porto Venere. While the town itself is beautiful, we had our sights set on Cinque Terre, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Booking with the cruise line, we embarked on a day-long tour winding through the seaside roads. Our nearly 8-hour tour took us to 3 of the 5 small villages. It was an idyllic day in the Italian Riviera and certainly a highlight of our trip. Along the way, our tour guide made sure to overload us with information about the region and the villages we were exploring. This tour also included a 3-course lunch at a rustic farmhouse and winery. While it was a whirlwind day, the itinerary lived up to our expectations and was as charming as we had hoped. Nice, France, was one port we decided to explore independently. We planned to catch up on some sleep and enjoy breakfast on the balcony before our evening cultural immersion tour. But after a morning of work, FOMO set in. So we spent a couple of hours in the afternoon strolling this Instagram-worthy shoreline of the French Riviera and Nice's Old Town. Each Epicurean Expedition includes a cultural immersion event as part of the cruise fare. This itinerary featured a rooftop aperitif cocktails tour at 7 p.m. Perched on top of the AC Hotel Nice, this rooftop retreat overlooked the beach. The 3-hour party included live jazz music, wine, and past appetizers. While I enjoyed the tapas and drinks, Heidi could only take the heat and lack of air conditioning for so long. Along with many other guests, we hopped on one of the first shuttles back to the ship for much needed air conditioning and one more round of drinks with friends before calling it a night. The recommended tour in the French seaside city of Sète was Gastronomic Sète. This 3-hour walking tour hugged the harbor as our guide provided details about the town and its extensive seafaring legacy and modern seafood industry. While Sète is known for its local markets, they were closed as it was a Sunday. Still, we were able to get a small taste of local octopus, oysters, biscuits, and of course wine at a small brasserie. While Heidi's not a fan of seafood, I'm always up for trying anything, at least once. Of all the delicacies, I liked the octopus pie the best. Along the way, we strolled the streets of this Venice of France to admire the 17th century architecture. Perhaps the most striking part of the tour was the water jousting. Yes, you heard me correctly. On the main canal, we were treated to a few rounds of this local sport. Still, of all our tours, this was our least favorite. Barcelona was the only port where we opted for a private tour. Pre-cruise, we connected with some friends traveling on the trip to secure a van with Spain day tours. For 8 hours of exploring all the city offered. Led by our awesome driver and guide, Marta, we started with a scenic stop at Mount Juic, where our orientation to the history and development of Barcelona began. From there, we took a comprehensive city tour to various landmarks. Among the highlights were visits to Sagrada Familia, Park Güell, and other gaudy architecture. We stopped at a local restaurant for lunch in the Plaza Cataluna for some Spanish tapas, before continuing our adventures exploring the Gothic Quarter, Port Olympic, and a drive through Las Ramblas. This tour was a fantastic orientation to the city, and we can't wait to discover more of these neighborhoods on a return trip. Many Mediterranean cruises visit the larger island of Palma de Mallorca, but only some visit its smaller sister, Menorca. Figuring this would be one of our few opportunities to visit the island, we booked the Flavors of Menorca tour. Leaving Mahan, where the ship was docked, we headed north to Fornells. The town was waking up as our group wandered the cobblestone streets and absorbed views of the protected bay. From here, we went to a local cheese farm for a tasting. While I don't usually eat cheese and drink wine at 10:30 a.m., when in Spain, do as the locals do. Among our additional stops was Montoro, the island's highest point. Along the ascent, we heard the tale of the statue of the Virgin Mary and the monks whose journey gave the mountain its name. To cap things off, we quickly stopped at a local gin distillery adjacent to our ship to try some locally produced spirits. Sardinia is the second largest Italian island in the Mediterranean and a popular tourist destination. In fact, we stopped at the southern port of Cagliari on our Virgin Voyages cruise in 2022. For this cruise, we docked at Port Cervo, which is on the northern end of the island. So we were looking forward to seeing even more of what Sardinia had to offer. With only a few tour options, we decided on the more encompassing Villages of Sardinia and Giant's Tomb. Of all our tours, this one felt the most disjointed. It didn't help that our tour guide was perhaps the least enthusiastic or engaged. At our first stop in San Pantaleo, she walked us to the town center with minimal narration and gave us 45 minutes to explore it independently. At our second stop, her overview of the Giant's Tomb and the historic civilization was more informative. From there, it was back on the bus for another 20-minute ride to the last stop, the beautiful seaside village of Bahia. While planning to walk around and take pictures, some fellow travelers invited us to join them for lunch. Given that we hadn't had any pizza our whole time in Italy, they made us an offer we couldn't refuse. Heidi and I had plans to visit the east coast of Sicily during our Mediterranean cruise in 2023. However, that port of call was skipped due to sea conditions, delaying our departure from Civitavecchia. So we were excited to have the chance to visit two destinations on the island this time around. Our first call on the island was Trapani. While it was a short walk from the ship's docking spot into town, we purchased a shore excursion to the historic town of Ierice. This excursion included a bus tour through Trapani and a semi-guided tour of this medieval village, which was located a nearly half-mile climb up the mountain. Several cultures have influenced this eclectic town over the years, from the Norman tower fortifications overlooking the sea to other touches of Hellenic culture. The town's medieval cobblestone streets, castles, and cathedrals were mesmerizing. During our approximately 2.5-hour visit at the village, we had some free time, so of course, we made sure to stop for cannoli and coffee granata. While it felt a tad rushed, this was the perfect ending to the tour and our first stop in Sicily. On the top of our list while in Sicily was visiting Taormina. As a college student, my family did a tour of Italy that included 2 days in this well-known Italian resort town, and I remembered it as being one of the most enchanting places I had visited. With high expectations, we set out on the cruise line's 4.5-hour magical Taormina excursion. It took about an hour to get there, following some brief sightseeing by bus through Messina. Thus, we had about 2.5 hours to stroll the main streets and marvel at the 15th century architecture. First, our guide took us along the colorful alleys and walkways, pointing out the more prominent buildings and landmarks along the way. We took the trek up to the Greek Theater, which is still in use today, as evidenced by the modern staging and music rigging still present from a concert that took place the previous night. After the guided tour, we had about 90 minutes of free time. This gave us just enough time to sample cannoli and gelato from the 2 shops that our tour guide recommended and do a little shopping. While beautiful and memorable, the city was packed and looked nothing like I remembered it from my visit close to 20 years ago. Having more time here would have been great as well. We knew we would be exhausted by the last day of the trip, so we booked a shorter tour in Chania, the seaside stop in Crete. The 2.5-hour Chania's archaeology and Venetian harbor tour sounded perfect. Yet, we later found out that the tour duration had changed to 4 hours. So, we mustered up the energy for one last tender ride ashore. Once on land, our tour guide whisked us away towards the dockyards and then into the heart of the city. She pointed out the intersection of cultures and religions that have shaped the island along the fairly long walk to our bus. Wait, we have to take a bus to the archaeology museum for a visit? That was news to us. We spent the next 90 minutes in the newly designed Archaeological Museum of Chania in a nearby neighborhood. Our tour guide was a bit intense and not very friendly, but it quickly became clear that she was an avid historian and culturalist. Her narration of the artifacts, weaving together themes and evolutions of civilizations, was captivating. Although this tour wasn't exactly what we had signed up for, we still had time afterwards to peruse the harbor before returning to the ship. Now, of course, a polar expedition with Atlas Ocean Voyages is drastically different than a Mediterranean cruise. So before you take the plunge, head over to our Atlas Ocean Voyages Antarctica Expedition Cruise Review video right here on YouTube. Just like this video, we break down everything you need to know about what it's like sailing to the ends of the earth with Atlas Ocean Voyages to help ensure your next cruise is smooth sailing.